There we are. And I can
We
wave.
go.
Hola, Alex. How are you doing, my friend?
How you doing, my friend? Good, finally.
Yeah. Instagram, it's one of those things I like doing the live story because it has that little element of a live gig, If something happens, we just roll with it.
Yeah,
So, live is where we're at, right? So I'm coming live from Wiltshire in the UK. Alex is coming live from Buenos Aires in Argentina. Yeah,
right?
I'm right on that.
Finally.
So that's a good way to start is being right. So yeah, hello everybody. Welcome to We Go to 11 PaulE Players. Today my special guest is Alex Leys, who is the PaulE Player of the Month. This is the second time we've done this. It was over a year ago we did it last time. And I've got a few of the same questions and some different questions because Alex has a brand new EP out called Poetica, and we're going to delve into that a little bit as well. So you ready to go, Alex?
Okay, far up.
He's there. Okay. So my normal start is, can you tell me about your where you grew up and your family, your birthplace and such?
All right. Yes, I was born here in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and I grew up, just kind of a middle class, normal family. Um, but my father used to be a preacher in a church, so that makes some difference because it was a Protestant church, right? So they have a lot of they have a lot of emphasis in what is music and celebration and all that stuff. So I got hooked with the drums, just watching the drummer playing every weekend. And by the time I was 11 or 12, I started playing myself in the church. So it was a real special opportunity for me because not every 12 years old boy has the chance to play for 400, 500 people every weekend, so that was really special because you have a band, a musical director, you have to follow orders and all the stuff, and your drums are mic'd up. Everything you do is important for the performance. So it was great. But other things like that, just a normal childhood, very supported by my parents. Both of them really understand my passion very early on, and I got a beautiful support from them and still.
Well, that's great. Every parent should support their child no matter what they do. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's part of the ticket there. But again, I mean, for me, church, the best part about going to church was the music. Because the
Right.
church that I was
Totally.
at as well, not just did you have your typical hymns, but we had a band as well that played everything from blowing in the wind, a variety of folky type things as well. So that's something we've got in common. And then your influences and inspirations. Who directed you before, obviously, that toward drumming?
Yeah, well, at the beginning, I think it was a very classical, just like every drummer. A couple of drummers that were truly influential for me. I think at the first was Ringo. Of course, it was one of the first records I ever bought. Was from the Beatles, and then a friend of mine. Well, it was the son of a friend of my father. Asked me. I will never forget. He asked me, "Do you know the best drummer in the world?" And I say, "Yeah, of course, it's Ringo." Yeah, he laughed and then say, "No, man, he's called Neil Peart and he's from Canada. Okay, you gotta listen to his band Rush." So he gave me some cassette tapes from Rush, original from Canada, and I couldn't believe. I never imagined that that was possible to make on drums. You know, coming from Ringo, which is very song-oriented drummer, and of
Mhm.
course Neil Peart is also a very song-oriented drummer, but you know, in a different way. Okay, he really does. He really supports the song, but with a different narrative, with a different information, and rapidly, Neil Peart became my idol very early on, and you know, I go through stages or different different types of drummers that I was attracted. Uh, Phil Collins, Carl Palmer, you know, many uh, let's say big drum set guys. So I never was afraid of a big drum set, you know. And also all these drummers has the common thing that they are composers. They compose their parts when they're playing. You know, it's not just keeping time, but think a lot about the instrumentation that they're going to use, you know, the orchestration that you're going to utilize. You know, it's not the same a bell than a splash, or a tom, a low tom than a high tom, and all these guys really think about that, you know, and I start thinking, okay, you know, maybe it's just something else, you know, that we can do with drums, not just play straight ahead or keep in time, which is great, and it's, you know, it's very important for some kind of music, you know. And those were my early influence. I always like to say that I was exposed to an obscene amount of music. You know, it was obscene. I was, you know, so deep into listen. I want to listen everything, you know, everything at the same time. I was so hungry about music, and you know, I remember listening to, you know, Sting, and listen to Weather Report, and listen to Joe Jackson, and listen to the Eagles, all on the same day. You know, I want to hear everything. I want to know everything, and well, that was. I can say that they were my first influences. Yes.
Oh, that's great. I say a lot of those influences were mine as well. Of course, you started out with Ringo, and Revolver
Mhm.
was the first album that I had. And if
Rubber
we
Soul,
just take
man.
Rubber Soul for you, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you take those songs like on each Beatles album, and Ringo did so so much. It was so, you know,
It's
sometimes it was
perfect.
minimal, sometimes it wasn't, but every song, like you said, he played exactly how every
Yeah.
song needed to be played. And
Well, you
you
know,
listen back to them now, and you're just like, ah,
it's
Ringo.
perfect. You know, I always say that I'm not supportive with the sentence, you know, more is more or less is more. For me, just the right is right, period. Okay? Because there are music that really needs a quantity of information from the drums, you know, to be complete. Okay, if you're playing with Weather Report, you cannot be playing, you know, just keeping time. All right, and or if you're playing with Chick Corea for something, you know, for say something. The amount of information is completely different, but it's if it's right, the composition, the song, the composition, the work, gonna be perfect, you know. And for me, Ringo has perfect technique, because technique is just a tool they utilize to create certain effects, to create certain, you know, a complete statement within the song. And if it's just one hit on the hi hat and one bass drum, that's perfect, man. I mean, there's nothing to say. I always say, if you don't get the ring is a genius, man, sell the drums and go to play harmonica. Okay, no,
Uh,
it's easy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I fully agree. I fully agree. So first gig, the first let me change that up a little bit. Obviously, you say your first gigs were playing in church. When did you decide that you were going to be a solo drummer, and when was the first time that you were stripped naked, solo drumming with no one else
Oh,
to help you?
wow. Yeah, that was scary, man. That was so scary. Yeah, I start playing, I start playing solo compositions within the bands that I was playing with. I was playing with, jazz trio or progressive bands, all playing original music. But when it was time when the solo time comes, instead of doing some crazy, flashy drum solo, I start playing these ideas, that playing with an ostinato behind some musical ideas. And the first composition that I did was called Jerusalem, which is still on my set list till this day. And that was 1998. It was 100 years ago. Uh, and yeah, and within a couple of years, by 2001, I got enough compositions to play a drum solo concert, okay, on itself. So I started looking for a place, and it was really hard to find a place because when you go and say, okay, yeah, yeah, I play a solo drum concert, what the heck is that? There is no place to play that. You cannot play that on a blues or a rock venue, with people drinking beer and you making a 2 hours drum solo. It doesn't make it. It doesn't make it. So I found, well, actually, it was my mom that found this yoga place. It was a yoga place where
Yeah.
we put some chairs on there, and I set up my drums, big drums around the time, not so big as now, but it was a big drum set. And man, I can tell you, I was about to throw it up, because I was so nervous to be alone. As you say, you say the perfect word. The word is naked, because you are so without nothing. Because I don't play with tracks. I don't play with, ADAT, or cassette or music behind me. I don't use nothing. I mean, everything is done on real time, since the beginning, since my first concert. And it's scary because if you make a silence, it makes a difference, and if you make some mistake, it really means something,
Yeah.
and if you hit something, it really makes something, everything is important. So that was my first gig, and it was in here in Buenos Aires, 2001. Yeah, 2001. I was 24 years old, very young and eh, crazy to do that.
Yeah, I can imagine that the silence sounds less out of place than the bad note, right? Because a
Yeah,
misplayed note in that, a silence, it could be like, is that supposed to be there? But a misplayed note, oh, that's not supposed to be there. So that's some heavy pressure. And um, right now, you're doing Argentina tour. You just did a couple shows last weekend. You've
mhm.
got some more coming up. Can you tell me something about the gigs that you're playing and the variety of music you still play? You said Jerusalem, which is one of your first songs, and do you mix it up each night, or do you like to go through a thing so you know that people hear what you wanted them to hear?
Well, yeah, I'm in the middle. Well, just starting this year's tour. I'm gonna be touring the whole year. Hopefully, outside Argentina too. There are some countries that I really want to come back. There are some countries I really want to go for the first time. But also Argentina is a gigantic country. It's like seven times UK. So it's you can go and go and go and go, and always gonna be some city that is the first time. It's never ending.
Mm.
And I'm supporting the music of my last record, which is called Poetica, as you say before. There are always music that I love and I really enjoy to play. It's not a matter of what people wants to hear because I'm not a pop star, or I don't have greatest hits, something like that. But it really means there are music that I'm really proud of, and I always make new arrangements to them, to the old ones, and especially on my last two records, Claustro and was on the pandemic. It come out on the pandemic, through the pandemic, and the and now with Poetica, which I think those records are, the as far as I can go now in terms of applying melody and harmony to the drums. I'm really, really, really proud of that. Of what the music that I come up with. I'm thinking in modes. I'm thinking in chords, open chords. Different modulations. And I never did that to that extent, to this extent. So definitely, I want to play this music as much as I can. So that's the main thing. But uh, in order to do that, I really need my full drum set, which is, as we talk always, is a logistic nightmare to move and to find this analogical dinosaur everywhere I go. So it's head off to drum workshop for help me, and the promoters that really goes into hard work to put this animal anywhere I go. It's really hard because as I said before, I cannot travel with my own drum set. Logistics are impossible. Really expensive because it's a big country like United States. So from city to city, maybe I have, I don't know, 14 hours, driving or whatever. So it's scary. So I have to find a drum set, put together a drum set this size everywhere I go. And that's, it takes time. It takes time.
Okay, then we'll get on to the next question, which is your drum kit and your sponsors. You're blessed to have a lot of really top end sponsors, companies that that support you and your drum composition, your drum poetry. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like I said, you travel. So you mentioned DW, and I know you have Pacific, Zildjian, Remo.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a little bit about how they all fit together? Are these companies that you've gone to look at, or have they come and looked at you, or a little bit of both?
Well, my instrument is an evolution of itself. It took me. I mean, this year is my 25th anniversary playing as a solo drummer. It's 25 years. It's a lot of time. 9 records. Between EPs, albums, and singles, there are 9 records. There are a lot of music. I don't know, close to 3 hours of solo drum music. Write it down that I can choose and play. And my drum kit is an evolution, and is the result of just a tailored instrument for the kind of music that I do, for how I play, how I like to sound, what sounds I imagine in my music. I always say, it's not the biggest drum set in the world or whatever. I'm not into that. I'm not into the circus stupid thing. But every time I put something new in my drum set, it's because I was hearing it in my head, for a lot of time before, and it comes to a moment when you don't I can't imagine my music without that sound. I have to have it. I have to have it, and I can lose it. I can live, as I say, with my bony. I can live home without it. It comes such a big part of what I do and how I sound. And within all these years, I got the chance, honor, opportunity to start working with, well, man, what can I say? They are the best companies in the world. Drum Workshop. I mean, it's like be a Formula One driver and get called by Ferrari. It's the end. I mean, there's nothing on top of that. But it's not just the drums, which are incredible, and the craftsmanship and the hardware and the pedals, but it's the people. You know, it's the
Yeah.
people, the support that I have from them, the friendship that I have over all these years. They're always listen, they're always open, they're always trying to help me. It's not about to, free stuff every month. It's not that, and we all know that. It's,
Mm.
you know, I'm just in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of a tour, in the middle of really nowhere. And I have 14 hours for my next gig, and maybe a tiny, I don't know, spur or part of my pedal broke up, and I make a call, and I don't know, they have connections like the CIA, man. And the time that I get to my next gig in the hotel, there is a package with, four pieces of this, and say, what? I mean, that's what I really, it's unbelievable for me. And it's the same with the other companies. I mean, Silgen, I'm part of a line of history. I'm a very small part of myself, but I'm together with maybe the greatest drummer of all the world. I've been playing remote drum hits since day one, and they are just a big part of my sound. I never changed drum hits. I never try
Mm.
different things. This is it. This is how I want to sound, period, And well, I was with another stick company for 11 years, and then I was ready to change and move on. And there's only one company that I want to work with, and it was Big Fear. And, I signed up as international artist with Big Fear, I think 3 years ago, close to 3 years ago. And within, I don't know, a year or so, they asked me to have a signature, drumstick with, it's kind of I'm not on the cover of the Rolling Stone magazines. I don't play stadiums. You know, I,
Yeah.
I just play for 50 people. I mean, 70 people, 25 people. It's not that amount of exposition, but they really, they really respect what I do, and they let me know. So I'm very blessed, and it happened the same that happened with you. I just fall in love with the instrument, and I cannot imagine my sound without my PaulE instrument, because it's really important for me. It's not something that I put there, some jewelry or something. Okay, sometimes I use it. I cannot play. I mean, my hi-hat is so small because it's surrounded by toms. So the hi-hat that I play with my feet is a small. It's a 12, and even
Wow.
it's a thick symbol. It's an A custom master sound, which is a thick symbol. It doesn't really cut through the whole thing that I'm playing on top. So I really needed. I was in the search of how to thick that sound, in the hi hat, and I tried different things. It didn't make it, man. It didn't make it, and for some reason, I watched this video from Terry, talking about your drums, and I said, oh, okay, I check it out. So I put it, I got online and check it, different videos and your website, and so I say, wow, man, I really like this thing, because, well, now there are big companies, but let's don't forget that Big Fair or Drum Workshop or Remo, they all start with one guy in a garage. You know, that sort of a Apple kind of mind. You know, let's start something in a garage. You know, two guys in a garage making drums, or one guy in a garage making, you know, beautiful wood instruments. And I really, you know, feel attracted to that kind of intimate, you know, relationship with the owners, with the creators, you know. So, well, that's the whole story behind the brands that I work with, and the reason is, you know, it's more important for me is the relationship, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And of course, we were talking a little bit about the Mini, the PaulE Mini the Bonnie Mini that you use, and that's probably that. And I would say your sticks. That's probably all that goes from show to show. Am I correct in saying that? So
Yeah.
there's because there's not a. It's not like you can call PaulE and I can say, oh, I'll have a new one in Buenos Aires at your hotel. You know, it's a different scenario. So you know, I'm you know over the moon to be in your kit and be that little part, that little ching that adds to the immense sound
Well, you
that you
know,
get.
it's a little, it's a little gigantic spark, you know. It's a little. I always say in my clinics, this is not a toy. You know, number one, this is not a toy. This is a legitimate percussion instrument, extremely important for what I do. That's how I present your drums in my clinics. Everybody asks me about that. What is that? What is that? What is that? You know, it's really important. It's really important. You know, not just it's like you have a big computer, but you have a small microchip, and without that, you know, without that microchip, it doesn't work. Period. You know, and for me, the Boney Mini is something like that. You know, I don't sound the same. You know, of course I can play, but I'm not really pleasant with what I hear without the Mini Boney, the Boney Mini. You know, it's not the same.
No, that's really good for me to
Thank
hear.
you.
And
Thank,
I know too
thank
because
you.
I followed you know some of your earlier stuff and you know it does add that little difference. And you as an artist, as all artists, you're always progressing and looking. You know what can I do to add that I need? Like you say, you know that there's a sound, and when you find it, bam,
Yeah.
then it's
Well,
in
you
your
know,
set and you're ready to go.
I never was that kind of guy that just bring me what is and that's it. You know, always into design, and I'm very, you know, I have a COD, I have every, you know, syndrome that you can imagine. So I'm always overthinking how to make my music sound better, my drum set sound better, be more, you know, efficient about the setup or everything that is, you know, is important for me, how to set up exactly the same every night everywhere, you know. And you know, once you have the drums, I mean, these are the sizes and the symbols and everything. You start with the small details that really makes it different, you know, really makes it different. So okay, this is the metal hi-hats, you know, shin shan kind of a sound here. Okay, how can I make it better? So I put a lot of effort and, you know, intensity and time in order to find the perfect things that match that sound. And you know, I come up with you. Hello.
It was a destiny situation there. So my next question is, do you have a favorite gig that you played?
Oh, I don't know, man. 25 years, a lot of uh, I don't know. There are a lot of touring, and I love touring. I love travel. I really enjoy travel. Is part of what I do, but other people don't like. I really enjoy find new places and, you know, discover cities and towns and village and everything. So maybe it's not, you know, a gig is not really important because what you play, because you always play kind of the same here and there, you know. It's because the people, it's because the environment, the food, which I really like. And it doesn't matter if it's 150 people for me, which is a lot of people for me, or 25. It doesn't really matter. You know, it's the warmth of the audience and the quality of the respect that I receive from them. You know, the silence, as you say before, the silence is really important for me. You know, I'm not playing in a place where, you know, you're taking orders or going to, with beer and TV song and, you know, everybody's talking. It's more like it's more like a church. You know, a theater is like a church for music, you know. So I really enjoy when I got into that zone in a gig, you know. And if I have to choose one, well, maybe a couple of years ago I did my 20th anniversary concert. It was 20 years from my first concert. Okay, the one that we talking, you know, it was 2001. So in no, sorry, yes, it was yeah, 2001, the first concert, so it was 2021, the 20th anniversary. And I did a beautiful theater here in Buenos Aires with beautiful sound and lights and everything. And it was really a good night for me. Not always it is, but it was a really good night for me. And I was very fortunate to record it, and I put it out as a solo live album. You know, it's called it Live, the Buenos Aires concert. That was a great gig. Yeah.
Good, good. Now it sounds like it. My next question here, because we were talking about tour, and you said that you have tours coming in Argentina, but you mentioned you might be going to some other countries. Any set things, or is it just some plans in the works?
No, the tourist booked the year is booked till August right now. So I have to start thinking what I'm gonna do the rest of the year, you know.
Yeah,
And the rest of the year normally I try to play some gigs outside the country, as you know. Uh, I've been trying to get to Europe for a couple of years, to go back to Europe. I live in Europe for more than 10
yeah,
years and tour Europe, you know, all the way around. But I was trying to get back to play there. The promoters are, you know, trying to do their best. Uh, I'm going back to Paraguay for sure this year, and maybe Uruguay and Chile, which is, you know, countries around
yeah.
my country. But besides that, I applied for the PASIC in United States this year also. So if happens, I don't know. It doesn't depend on me. You know, I will go to the United States, you know, and try to play some gig. And you know, I really want to meet Don Lombardi from Drum Workshop and make some interview from Drum Channel. You know, those plans are attached to if the pace is happening, you know. That's the
Yeah.
really main thing, you know. It's a really important event, probably the mother of every drum event in the world, you know. So it's a really highlight of a year if it's happening.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, you know, because PASIC is very different than NAM show,
Of course.
which is all kinds of stuff. PASIC, Percussive Art Society. I mean, you know, that's drums. That is the heartbeat of our industry. Is definitely PASIC,
Oh yeah.
without a doubt. Yeah. So now my question from a follower, my friend
Oh,
Brian
okay.
wanted to know about Poetica, and how did you come up with that? Was it something that you worked on after Closer, where you said that was done in the pandemic, so during lockdown, and now Poetica was done just after lockdown. So obviously, everyone in the world has lived three lifetimes in the past 4 years. Like you had your before
Yeah.
the pandemic, during the pandemic, and now post pandemic. So how what was the difference between writing that, say, those past two EPs, one during the pandemic and one out?
Well, Claustro was the, you know, I was like 15 years without putting out a record. I
Well,
think that the music industry is over, man. It doesn't really work anymore like we used to know in the 20th century. It's a
mm,
complete different animal, So I really lost the faith on putting out records and trying to sell them and blah 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 blah. So I stopped doing that for 15 years or something. But the pandemic come up, and if it's something that happened with the pandemic, I think is as a society, we saw death very close, from us.
mm,
We are not immortals, and I lost a lot of friends. I lost family because of COVID, and it was a time when you start thinking about your life and your death.
yeah,
Of course, you say, okay, man, this is gonna happen. Maybe not today, maybe not the next year. But it's gonna happen. So I started thinking about, well, I got all this music that I'm playing on live gigs, and well, I have to leave it somewhere. I have to leave it somewhere because if I gone where there's nothing over there. I mean, there are a couple of records, the first one, but I got a lot of new music. So, well, it's sometimes I have to say it's sometimes fear what makes you make art, And I was afraid of death and disappear without, letting something else there done. And so I did Claustro, and it was music that I was currently playing on the records, on the clinics or concerts. Some new compositions that I did, but it was basically music that I have. But once I finished that, I started working on new music, and also my drum set got bigger, and I got to have an octave, a complete octave from D to a high D to a low D, complete octave of Y notes of the piano. It's a diatonic tuning. So it really gives me a lot of freedom, melodic and harmonic freedom. So I start, come up with new ideas, new compositions, and as I said before, exploration of open chords and modulation, changing bass line, a lot of things that I have to put it again in a record. So that's where Poetica come up. And I I have a nickname that I was given for another drummer, and it really got, sort of a famous, if you want. That is called El Poeta, which is the poet, the poet,
Hmm.
because of the melodic narrative that I have, when I'm playing. It's like, words that I use, and so because of that, I put the name to the album, Poetica. They always say you are the last poet of drums, and that's why Poetica come up with. Hmm.
No, it's a lovely album. Everybody, you can get it on any of your streaming platforms. It's available,
Oh yes,
Bandcamp. Uh,
yes, it's completely free. Yeah, yeah. I don't care for sales anymore. Nobody cares about sales anymore. It's completely free. You can listen to any if you want to buy. Please you're welcome. But it's completely free to use and in every streaming platform, especially in Bandcamp. There's all my music and my work is in Bandcamp for free. So please serve yourself.
Yeah, check it out. I encourage everyone to check it
Thank
out
you.
because it is definitely the drum poetry. And you know that there's only one Alex Leys.
Thank you, man.
It's unmistakably you.
Thank you.
So yeah, we've touched on a bit of new stuff, some of the old stuff that we had touched on before. So now we're up to question 11, which again, this is our 11th episode. 11, we go to 11. 11 is my lucky number, twice as good as one. So you have your question for me.
Yes, obviously. Well, I have a lot of questions, but I was thinking about the designs and your work and your the inspiration behind the designs and ideas of your instrument. How how you come up with such ideas. I know why. It's because you dream about it. You feel inspiration from other drummers because there's nothing in the world like that, and you want to make it. How you come up with that things.
Well, thank you, first of all. I think that a lot of it has to do with the feedback I get from drummers. You know, what are they looking for? What's something different? You know, there's so many different things that are the same, so to speak, out there, and I don't like doing anything that's really been done or is happening right now. You know, I get inspirations from drummers. My Bonnie inspiration was from John Bonham, who had the hi hat tambourine, this little metal one, and I was always working in wood, so I wanted to make something along that lines, but in the wood. And I made my Bonnie. First one I gave was to Terry Bozzio, Mr. Bozzio, to see, what's the feedback I could get. And I got positive feedback from him. Then, how I progressed to the next one was I made a half Mooney, which is a Bonnie basically cut in half. And that gives you the straight edge that you can, hit on. And then
Yeah,
I came
that's
to,
really make a difference.
mm,
Yeah,
and
I
then at
remember.
the,
You remember, I was really surprised by the fact that you can hit it.
mm,
It's not common at all. It's not a weak instrument. It's extremely strong, and you can hit the head out of it.
and the mini I came up with the later because I was trying to get it as something as lightweight as I can. Okay, and with the mini, that is the lightest weight. I believe you have a basswood mini, and that is an extremely lightweight wood.
Yes, for
So
touring,
that
for
way it
touring
doesn't.
musicians like myself, for touring musicians, is heaven. I can bring everywhere.
And my latest design is the Hawkeye.
Yeah, Taylor, my man.
After Taylor Hawkins, rest in
Yeah.
peace, just over a year now. And basically, you can see this is a 6-inch tom shell that I've cut, and I've placed my wooden head that I have on, which is sort of my trademark. And then I've gotten it painted so that it can match your drum kit, because that was something you say, where did I get the inspiration from? Not my my Bonnie as well. If it's if it's poplar and it's going into, say, a sparkle kit, it sort of can look a little out of place, or sort of stick out in a positive or a negative way.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I came up with the Hawkeye, was because I wanted it something that you could have in a natural finish, or you could get it painted custom to fit in with your kit,
Perfect.
and that's basically my friend Jack from Peanut Butter Custom has done it. Painted the ones I have right now. I've also got in the works with Gareth from Highwood. He's a British drum maker, great drum maker, and we're working on the next evolution of it that we'll have ready for the UK Drum Show September 30th and October 1st.
All right.
So for me, as a definite amateur drummer, I get my inspiration from thinking outside the box, and I get my direction from looking inside the box at the drummers and what they've actually want me to, to produce. Because for me to make something that no one wants,
Yeah,
that doesn't really do anything. I want something that really, fits in with someone's kit within their way, like yours. I mean, I can honestly say that of all the drums that I've made that have been in other people's kits, that one I'm, I hate to say the most proud of, but it's the most distinguishing to me because it adds that little bit of poetry in your bigger scheme of poetry. And it's
absolutely.
just, I really love
And the quality,
seeing
man,
that
the
little guy on top
craftsman,
of your hi hat.
the love that you put on the craftsmanship, it's it's like a luthier with a Stradivarius. Industry now has become such a big, enormous animal that you lost contact with the owners, with the makers, not the owners, with the
Yeah.
makers. You lost contact with the makers. When I started working with Drum Workshop, I just ran an email to Don Lombardi. And
Mhm.
now companies get into this corporation kind of stuff, and they got bigger and bigger, bigger, bigger. And I'm lucky to work with the companies that I work with, but there are other outside. There are big companies. They don't make the best they can make. They do the best they can sell.
So, bam.
Yes, and that's really a big difference. And I think that it doesn't happen, of course, with you. You are making the best things you can make, no matter what, no compromise, period, man. And that's something that when you got the stuff in your hand, you say, oh man, this is a tank. I mean, this mini bony is a tank. And as I said before, I can hit the head out of it, or moving all around the country for miles and miles and miles, and buses and planes and everything. It doesn't. It's strong as a tank. It's a quality, and the sound and the jingles doesn't come off with. It's it is it's that's really something to say, because there are all the instruments out there that just disappear in your hands within a couple of gigs or something. You're making a big quality instrument.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, again, and like I try to say is no one really is doing exactly what I'm doing. Everything I make is a bit unique.
For sure.
There's tons of hi hat tambourines out there, but there's only one PaulE. And everyone that I make is all made with these hands. And all hands. I don't turn on a lathe. I hand sand. So that means each one effectively is different, right? It's not a program on a lathe. It's very, very different, very hands-on, and that to me is what I like. I like
Yeah,
creating with my hands, and then I like seeing what it adds to my art, adds to other people's art,
thank
and
you.
you
Thank you,
know,
Paul.
and I thank you. I thank everybody that has a PaulE drum, whether you're a professional drummer or you're someone that has one as a oh, I needed this because it's cool. I thank everybody. I thank the people that have helped me. I thank the artists, the PaulE players. I think the people that follow me on the internet. I thank everybody who's tuned in tonight. We've had a rolling scroll of a bunch of different people who've been on here. Um, so yeah, everyone, I thank everyone. I appreciate everyone, and especially Alex. You know, I thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for being
Oh,
part of the
thank you.
PaulE family and
Oh,
for
thank you,
being
man.
the
Thank
PaulE
you.
Player of the Month and for doing another We Go to 11.
Yeah, my second one.
Yeah. And hopefully this one gets worked out properly where Instagram doesn't delete it.
Yeah.
We'll know momentarily. So you got anything else you'd like to add um, to the end of the show here?
Well,
Or you
not really, not really. Other that, thank you for this opportunity to talk. It's always great to talk. We talk a lot with in the week and back and forth with messages. That's true. But to have the opportunity to to tell my little story, and if to let the people know about the things that I do, which is something that I really love, and I put all my freedom. I choose freedom over security, and that's something, and it's always important, and I'm very thankful for this opportunity to let other people that doesn't know me to know about me. So thank you, Paul, very much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And again, everyone, thank you for joining us for We Go to 11, PaulE Players, episode number 11. I added some previous episodes on my YouTube, which is PaulE Drums, The Art of Percussion.
Right.
And I will add this one on there as well. So, Alex, thank you so much for being a part of the family
Thank
and of
you.
this show. And yeah, everyone out there, have a fabulous week coming up. We love you all.
Okay. Peace and love, man. Peace and love.
Cheers. Adios.